All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome so much, and thank you for stopping by. We have an amazing guest for you today, an impactful filmmaker, award-winning producer, director, cinematographer. She has worked on Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, Apple Plus, and so many other film and TV productions. Kelly creates impactful films for social change and environmental protection. Her latest project, Pave the Roads, which we'll be talking all about today. But first of all, how are you doing today, Kelly? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Deb. I'm so happy to be here. Great to
Absolutely. Yeah.
talk.
So we start our show, sorry, with two truths and a lie. So, Dad, if you want to take that off.
Hi, I'm Nigel, and here we go. So what we've got is we've got Kelly Mason, and we've got two truths and a lie. So we're gonna try and pick which is the lie out of these two things. So number one is wow, this is crazy. There's a whole bunch of crazy ones here. The first one is I bought Michael Jackson's house in Beverly Hills and hosted an A-list celebrity party with the princess or the prince or princess of Saudi Arabia. One of them. I don't know if it's the prince or the princess. Number two, Tony Robbins stopped me in the streets of Fort Langley, British Columbia, and performed a spontaneous intervention. Holy smokes. Okay, that's a big one. Number three, I was married by a Tibetan master and lived in a Dharma house for a year in Boulder City, Nevada.
Whoa.
Man, what do you think, Dev? What are you thinking?
I don't know, man. Like, they all seem so within the realms of reality. Like, it's kind of hard, but either the second one or the first one. I'll go with the first one,
Which is,
the Michael Jackson party.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go Michael Jackson party as well
Yeah,
as the lie. So Kelly,
Yeah, you guys nailed it. Now this is actually a truth for the father of my children. He actually did buy Michael Jackson's house in Beverly Hills and host parties for A-list celebrities, and because he was
wild.
a professional polo player and he played with the princes of Saudi Arabia, so they wanted a platform there to be able to network, and that's how they started.
oh my gosh! So we're
Holy
we're so close. Like
smokes.
that's, I mean, they're all pretty much truths. That's incredible. Oh
The
my
other
god,
two are true. Yes, I did
the
have a
other two.
spontaneous intervention with Tony Robbins in one of my darkest day, actually in Fort Langley, and that was kind of written into Pave the Road, the film that
Right.
we're going to talk about, and
Wow.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and the other one was yes, I did live in a Buddhist Dharma house in Nevada City, in Boulder City, Nevada,
Oh my gosh.
for about a year, and learned a lot from a master, and was married to my first husband from with that master. So
Wow. That's
Wow.
incredible. That's incredible. So I'm just going to share a little bit of a light on our history. So I've been really fortunate to meet Kelly a few years back, probably 5 years ago now, where one of my entrepreneur organization's peers called me up and he said, "You have to meet this woman. She's incredible. She's a film producer, director, does all this amazing stuff, and she's looking at creating a company to help recover plastic from the beaches in Costa Rica, and basically use it as a material to pave roads." And so I was totally infatuated with this. And Devin, myself, and our family, we had just returned from a year-long walkabout travel around the planet, and we tried to do what we call it an endless summer. And so we surfed in as many spots as we could. But the thing that really ticked us off was, especially, we were in Indonesia and we were in Brazil and many places. This after every rainfall, the oceans would fill with plastic and garbage because the rivers were full of garbage and they would flush out, and we'd be surfing. We're trying to surf on our surfboards, and all the gunk was getting stuck in our skigs, and we couldn't catch a wave. It makes it really difficult. So I came back and I met Kelly at a coffee shop in North Vancouver, and she was starting to tell me about what she was thinking and doing in Costa Rica, which was incredible for me because she had an issue there because she was living in Costa Rica, and she. I'm just going to take these off. She was living in Costa Rica, and her kids were going to a local school there, and the local schools, um, every time a truck would go by, the dust would go inside the open air school and it would get into the kids' lungs. And because the roads were all dirt roads. And it was really frustrating because the local children were getting sick. And Kelly had this great idea where what she was going to do is she was going to start a company and she was going to collect the plastic from the beaches and the plastic around the neighborhoods, and she was going to put it in a process into a machine, and it turns it into a material that actually you could pave the roads in front of the schools to stop the dust from kicking up. And I thought that was absolutely incredible. And so now we're probably 4 or 5 years later in the future today, and we have Kelly on our show to give us a bit of an update on how she got started and what motivated her and where we are now with this incredible project called Pave the Road. So Kelly, you got any? I can put my headphones back on now so I don't have the echo.
Thank you so much. That was a really great recap. Yeah, that's right. And, Nigel, you've been such a great mentor for me through this whole process of understanding how to kind of start up a company that has grown from a social impact project to begin with. And, given all your experience as an entrepreneur, it's been very, very helpful. So I actually am know Nigel that way through this other person, and who has both of you guys have been so great. So yeah, where do you want to begin with the story? Where should we start?
Well, we could start with the story, with the children. That really got me. That emotionally hit me because we had kids and our kids are older now, but I can't imagine having children in a school where every time a truck or car went by on the road, the whole classroom would full of dust. So
yeah, so basically what happened was my kids and I, moved to Costa Rica, and we have a film. We've made a film all documenting this decade of our lives. But we moved there, and we found right away that one of my new friends came to me and said, I have to take my son out of school. It's a health hazard. My son woke up in the middle of the night and he couldn't breathe, and we had to rush him to the clinic, and the clinic's 30 minutes away. And so, just kind of barely getting there and putting him on oxygen. And she said to me, I need your help. We need to do something about this. And, before I went to Costa Rica, I was journaling, and I did journal to myself that, there's some kind of purpose here. And it was kind of a higher power moment where, that message comes through. And so when she told me that, I thought, this is the calling. This is why I'm here. And how can I help? Well, I know how to get the camera in front of people. I know how to make a film. And so maybe if we use the power of filmmaking, maybe just holding the people that are responsible for taking care of these types of problems accountable, by holding the camera up and filming them, maybe that will prompt them to do something about it. So that just started a big process of, understanding what are other families going through? What are the children going through? What's being done in the community to help these children? How can we, is the government going to pay attention? Are we going to be able to pave these roads? And so after some time, we realized that the government really is not paying so much attention because we're just not a priority. We're in this little Nicoya Peninsula, in the southern Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica. And there were other roads they had to pave. But I knew that there was also this carbon neutral goal that Costa Rica was aiming for. And that was for 2021. The country wants to be carbon neutral. And also when I realized that there were all these illegal landfills, there was garbage everywhere and it was emptying into the rivers, which ended up in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, wait, there's something here where maybe we can have this eco-intelligent solution and bring garbage somehow into road construction. And so, based on the provincial mayor's support, he said, you should contact the national laboratory and see if they'll test waste materials. So we did. We went and met with them, And the director at the time, Luis Loria, he had said, "Oh yes, we're actually studying that right now. Why don't you come? We'll partner." And
Yeah.
so that's when he sent his team out to all the 7 schools in the area. There's over 2,500 children in these schools that were developing chronic respiratory illnesses, skin and eye infections, really serious problems and the dust had silica. It still does. I mean, it has silica in it, which is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they came out and we tested all 7 school roads. And it was really interesting because each school road has a different foundation, which is kind of crazy because each foundation would need a different engineering design using the plastic waste as a modifier or a filler. So the idea is to remove the amount of fossil fuels that's being used in road construction and replace it with garbage.
Yeah.
And so kind of making roads the new landfill. So that's kind of how the whole thing came about.
That's incredible. And then flash forward, you paved, I don't know, you paved a lot of road, didn't you, in the end?
Well, we've done some tests. We still need to pave those school roads. We have had the road paved with regular asphalt just to mitigate the dust problem, and we've done all kinds of things. We've put molasses down, which is a common way of dealing with dust in Central American countries, and then we put a very thin layer of asphalt, but that doesn't really work for very long. So now the next stage with the government is to, in 2021, pave all of those school roads. And we're very excited about it because we have a number of projects now lined up through my company. I actually had to start my own company because no one was going to do this for us. So I started Green Pavement Company based on, create change. And so now we have a waiting list of clients to get green roads, to get plastic roads installed in their driveways or their eco villages, or even the national highway. The national government wants to work with us now. Oh, but then the other great thing, which I'm so excited to tell you about, is that we've made a law through all of this. The impact of our actions, an environmental law was passed on June 21st of this year, making it mandatory to use recycled products in road construction. Every single road now needs to be built with some form of waste material.
Wow, fantastic. And then you've also made a film, right, called Pave the Road.
Correct.
About the whole process, which I think it's won a few awards as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, so we're just entering the film festival stage. Yes, we've been chosen by some of the larger awards to submit, which is fantastic. That means that they're really excited to even have the film in their awards running, or their festivals. So this film is really interesting because it's self-shot. So it's shot over a decade by my children and myself. So we actually turn the cameras on ourselves and we shoot these scenes, and they're fully they're professional scenes in terms of, from my training that I have being in the film industry, just understanding how to cover every scene. The kids, we would each, we had 2 cameras. We just had a Canon 5D Mark II and a GoPro, and the first one without any viewfinder, just the first GoPro, and we just used those 2 cameras and made a pretty good movie. We're very excited. We just had Richard Lewis come on board, and Richard is the executive producer of Westworld and CSI. He's one of the executive producers, and he's a director, a very experienced director. So he came on board as our executive producer recently, and we've gone in and done a recut. So we've just now released it to the festivals.
Fantastic. So when will it be released for the general public to see?
Well, we're hoping next year. It's an interesting landscape because film industry is changing so much, and
Yeah.
so a lot of people are branching off and creating their own networks now. Like a lot of the Hollywood leaders, and they're kind of leaving these larger studios and creating these documentary networks. So distribution, we don't have a distributor at the moment. We literally have are just finishing the film. We're just making our last little tweaks, but we'll see where that goes, whether it's distributed on Shawn Mendes's new channel or Netflix or Prime or,
Right.
there's a
Right.
lot of
Huh.
them now, lots of options. So we'll see.
So what do you see inside the film industry right now? You mentioned that a lot of these bigger networks, the people are starting up their own independent um, documentary film
Well, I
networks. Is
think,
that what you?
I
That's
think
what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that, because of COVID and people having to stay home or having the
Hmm.
opportunity to stay home are reassessing what's important in their lives, and they're spending more time with their families and their children. And in our industry, in the film industry, we work a lot. We work a lot of hours. We're
Yeah.
gone for 14 hours generally a day. And so maybe these people are just realizing, what's important and how they can use their skills to, really make the world a better place, because we
Right.
are facing some serious issues. We are facing climate crisis, obviously the pandemic, but with all of this lockdown, there's also, domestic violence and domestic abuse and suicide and mental
Hmm.
health awareness. And so there's just a lot of things going on right now. And I think that, in Hollywood, we do make a lot of fluff. Like we do make great programming, and of course, using films to inspire and alter belief systems has always been a very powerful genre to create impact. And so I think now that people are realizing, well, maybe there's just not any more room left for that, a lot of that fluff, like a lot of that
Hmm.
stuff that is really violence based and,
Yeah.
just not really moving the world consciousness forward in the best
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and what I'm seeing these days is really inspiring for me is that it's women. The power of women has really risen over the past decade or even in the past few years, where people like yourself are really, making a difference. And I've really found once I've stepped into the a little bit of a nonprofit space as well, and almost all of these organizations are run by powerhouse women, which is super super inspirational for my daughter and for other women around the world. And
Okay.
so
Yeah, why women are kind of doing all this work,
Mhm.
and whether you're a woman and you have children or not, there's kind of two polarities to the feminine and two
mm,
polarities to the masculine. So
yes,
the feminine is like being a woman and a mother, and the masculine is being a man and a husband.
Mhm.
right,
So basically, I think for women, like we just have this duty, both as a mother, to protect the environment, to protect the children, to do whatever is necessary to make that change. It's very warrior like. It's very like
right,
protect.
right.
And I think that's why it's so wonderful that a lot of women now are kind of stepping up and feeling that need to act and do whatever they need to do to be the
Yeah,
mother.
there's a lot. I mean, there's also a lot of really inspirational women that are. I mean, you look at the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I mean, Kamala Harris now just got nominated Vice President of the United States. I mean, we're leaps and bounds, and things are really starting to take grip for women in everywhere from business to social impact, and it's just super for myself, and it's just really inspirational, and it's something great for, like I said, for our daughter to see as
Mhm.
well, our daughters of everybody. And so I've just thrown, I don't know if you can see these pictures now, but there's a
Yeah, we
picture
got
of
them.
Kelly in one of her vans, Pave the Road, and it's Pave the Road film here she's got going. And as I mentioned before, Devin and I and our family were so fortunate to travel the world in 2014, but we were doing what was called the endless summer, which we wanted to do. And we would go to the best surf spots in the world. We try and find them, which was in Bali and Indonesia and Brazil and all these other places. And you see them in the magazines, see them on TV in these shows, and they're beautiful and they're pristine. But when you get there and you're actually surfing in stuff like this,
Yeah.
you shake your head, you go, well, wait a minute, what is this, an Instagram fake? Because Instagram, we dot everything and make everything look pretty. Well, actually, the world is not actually like that in most cases.
Yep.
And so that's why we created our app and our movement called True Beach to actually help people report the true conditions of the beaches and oceans around the world. And some places like this lower corner here, we would see beaches like this covered in marine waste, and it was shocking. So,
and for those of you who are not watching this right now, you're just listening, we were looking at pictures of basically the first picture was a person like pretty locked into a tube surfing, and over his head is just copious amounts of trash and garbage. The next one that he was explaining there was basically just one of these beaches like we were talking about when we were in Indonesia or in Bali, where all the trash gets thrown into the side of the road. When the monsoon comes, it washes it all into the beach. And then when you get there in the morning, it's usually all gone because people have already got up at like 4, 5, 6 and cleaned it all up. So yeah, it's basically a beach completely littered with garbage. You can barely see any sand, just for those who are listening.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. And so as I was saying there, we created this little app called True Beach where it helps people report the true conditions of our beaches and oceans. And then talking with Kelly and what they were doing with recycling plastic and blending it into road construction. It's just incredible too. And what I really feel too, Kelly, is that we all do our little part. We all do our little bits, but sometimes we shake our heads and we wonder if we're really making a difference. Our little part really makes a difference. But I really do believe that all these people doing all these little things does amount up to a massive change in the world. And although may not know each other, we may not see each other. Somebody may be doing beach cleanups or something in England, and there may be people paving roads in India or whatever it is, and or doing all that. But collectively I honestly do believe we make a difference. So when we do get down and we are volunteering and we are trying to help, and there's that time where do I really make a difference? Am I really making a difference? We really, really are. And it's taken me a long time to actually recognize that.
I'm going to touch upon that just a little bit. And I totally agree with that. Like when we first got into this stuff, I remember you always just being like, or all of us as a family being like, how much can our family really do? How much can or everybody as an individual, when they're starting this path of kind of trying to save the world, if you will, they think like, what can I really do? What's the difference that one more person is really doing? Well, that's exactly it. It is that one person a day who switches that mindset. It's that 2 people a week. It's that, 12 people a month, 100 people a year, whatever it is, right? We have power in numbers, and the more people that change the mindset towards environmental preservation and such, we will, like I said, we have power in numbers, and we'll make a change for sure. So it does matter. And if you're listening and you're kind of in that area right now, if you don't know where to start, link in with one of us, and we'll get you on the way. Or there's so many other things that you can do to switch the mindset and move forward in these ways.
Yeah, what I've learned over the years, and Kelly probably would agree. I mean, it's amazing. People that give money, giving money to causes is incredible, but to give of yourself is even more powerful. And to give as a family group together, I honestly don't think there's anything more powerful than that. To actually get in and actually take part. And give money as well, which is great because everybody needs all these nonprofit. They all need funding, but it's actually give of yourself, of your time, of your your sweat equity. There's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, and it changes everyone's kind of, it changes everyone's kind of view on these things. Like you taking us down to Mexico with the Ash family, like we had David Ash we were talking to before. He was saying to go with your whole family. It changes everyone's mindset. It changes you as a parent, because you're seeing your kids, work into this, be like, oh, wow, they don't have all these things, and they're here helping this kid who's basically their age build a house for, his family. Wow, then they get along. And then it changes something in you because you see that in your kid, but it also changes something in you personally because you go, oh, this is actually changing my whole mindset of, we're all just kind of people of this world. We're all just one and the same, right? This, like, I could have been this guy who, or this family who has nothing living in Mexico, and this other family could have come and built a house for me. So yeah, it really just changes you.
Yeah, it's those little
Sure.
steps. Hey,
Little
Kelly, I
steps.
mean, you're incredible. I mean, you've had your kids with you. I mean, you've lived in Costa Rica, you lived in Vancouver, you lived all over, and for your kids to actually see these things, I mean, it's the best education you could ever give them.
Thank you. Well, I admire what you guys do as a family. And I was thinking about, now that my kids are moving into the teenage years, I was like, okay, how do I regroup now and keep them on board to keep moving in this direction, right?
Right.
Because sure, as younger children, it was fun for them to join in the beach cleanups and to be part of Pave the Road and the outreach programs that we did in the schools, etc. But yeah, now I look at you guys and I'm like, okay, like what did you do as parents to kind of continue to involve your children as they got older? How did you do that?
I think like Devin was saying, and like you were saying, it's just that one little step at a time. I mean, I was challenged 20 years ago by a friend of mine to go to Mexico and build a house for a family. And I didn't go the first year, and then we went the second year, and we became addicted to it. And I think we ended up leading our own trips, and we probably over time, over 20 years, we probably took about 700 people down. And but the cool thing is they then broke off and they started doing their own things. Our friends were off in Africa building houses for people in Africa and Guatemala and doing all these. It's that. So my friend Dave Ash just opened up my eyes and just cracked it open slightly. It was up to me to step through that door, and that's what we did. We just stepped through, we just let it happen, and it basically organically happened over time. And now our kids are all in their mid 20s, and they're coming to us, when are we going to do this, when are we going to go do that, can I invite my buddy to come because he came 10 years ago with us, and they want to. It's just that little step. I was overwhelmed by philanthropy because my buddy was doing so much, and Bill Gates and these people, they do so much. Well, we don't have to do that. It's always that first little step, and the first little step will lead to the next one, and then to 5 more, and then 10 more, and next thing you know, 5 years goes by, and you look back and you go, oh my goodness, that was an incredible experience. And so
And a
I hope
good
that's
step
really,
would be to watch, Kelly's documentary.
to watch Kelly's documentary.
Of
Yeah,
course,
so I
because
think we're probably
that'll
gonna.
change your mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we are kind of stuck with the parameters of COVID or whatnot. But yeah, watching tons of cool, informative documentaries such as the one that you're putting together.
Yeah.
Thank you. And actually, you don't need a lot of money or any money, much
Right.
money really, to make
Right.
change. And that's what we show in our documentary is like, single parent moving to Costa Rica with my children, and just, it's just like you said, one step at a time, and every day is an adventure. And so it's more about like each step that needs to be taken and having the faith that whatever you need to provide for you and your family will show up. It always did. Like it was either, the perfect sponsor partner so for example, Toyota stepped on board for us and provided us with a vehicle to transport all of the waste materials, 6 hours each way from our little village of Montezuma to San Jose. And so, because we were like, how are we going to do this? We had a little crappy Suzuki Samurai. They're good vehicles actually, like in the rugged, in the wild, but they're these little
Yeah.
tiny, like no suspension, painful vehicles. And it just wouldn't have been able to do the same job we needed to do. So,
Right.
and then Kimberly Clark stepped up to the plate and gave us all masks. And this was pre-COVID. And, the kids needed masks in their schools at this time because they were dropping out. So many kids were dropping out. So they, we were thinking, how are we going to create this next phase? And so then we created the mask program, where all of the businesses in the villages came together and donated $20 for a box of masks, and they would give the masks out to the locals that were always on their motorcycles and quads and had to breathe in the dust every day.
Yeah.
So it's just such an adventure, when you step into this type of work.
Yeah.
You realize it's not about the money that I don't even think about the money, because that's kind of a distraction. Of course, you know, we're taking the best steps forward to create a sound business, but at the same time, it's really that work. It's that one step at a time to make that change. And it's following your heart.
It is. Yeah. Once you step over into that zone, I call it, you get into a flow, you get into that life rhythm, and everything starts happening in a good way. And you get connected with incredible people doing amazing things around there. You get out of that daily grind. And if you can step over into this spot, the sweet spot, it's amazing what happens. And I've been about 10 years, I've been in this sweet spot. But for the 30 or 40 years before that, I was in the grind every day, wondering, you know, with my business, if I had to lay people off, or if I could hire anybody, or if we could make payroll. And then it's when I stepped over into kind of a little bit more giving, everything opened up, and I started meeting incredible people, and I met amazing people like yourself. And, you know, that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So yeah, I just want to, you know, thank you so much. And I think we're going to wrap a little bit on this one. Hey, Dev, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Wrap it up.
We can wrap this one up.
Yeah.
So basically that's it for our today's podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. And we'll hear a few words from Kelly. I just want to hear if you could go back in time and you could give your younger self, or let's say the youth of our age, some of your firsthand experience. What would your just 3 main points, 1 main point, whatever, what would your main point in what kind of, got you to where you are now?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the first thing would be that, you know, try not to let the outside world affect you too much, in that what you think you should be doing or accomplishing by a certain age, you know, if you're supposed to be married by 30 and having kids or whatever, you know, trying not to be overwhelmed with those belief systems, and instead just follow your heart, follow your passion, listen, see what interests you, and expand on that and explore and take those risks, take that leap, just like Michael Bennett's book.
Wow.
So yes, that's what I would say, and not to put too much pressure on yourself, and know that you're here for a reason, you're important, and you're here to serve a purpose. Every single one of us are here, whether it's a tough background or environment you come from, or one that doesn't seem so tough, but either way, you're equally valuable.
Lovely. Oh, those are lovely words. Thank you so much. And then where can we find stuff on Pave the Road, just for the people out there? Where can we find your Pave the Road stuff and the little documentary that'll be coming out soon?
Yeah, on pavetheroad.net. Awesome. And you can learn all about our initiative there, and you can make a contribution if you feel that it's inspired you, and also just to give feedback or even become a partner. We are looking for partners all the time to help, you know, create this change within the infrastructure industry, so that we use less fossil fuels, within, you know, helping children in other parts of the world that have the same issue in their open air schools. Yeah, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kelly. Really appreciate you being on our show here today, the Impact Show. And yeah, we will definitely be keeping in touch. And we're going to put everything up for everybody to see as well, all your contact information as well. And
in the description.
Thanks so much, Devin and Nige. Thank you. I'm just thrilled to be here speaking with you. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks so much for your time. Anything else, Dev?
Nope. We'll just say we'll have to have you back at some point. And
yes,
obviously
absolutely. We'll catch up and see how it's going.
Great.
Yep. All righty. Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone. Bye.